Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
The Catchalorette and friends want to acknowledge that this podcast is recorded and edited on the stolen lands of the Kaurna and Peramunk peoples. We wish to pay and give respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, past, present, and emerging. Sovereignty was never ceded. Always was. Always will be. Aboriginal land. The Catchalorette
and friends.
From first love to happy ever after.
What's that?
From dating to dick pics.
Oh my. Oh no!
The Catchalorette and friends. Oh, I love a good dick. Hello and welcome to the Catchalorette and friends. Today, I have a very special guest, someone that I've wanted to have on since the start of this podcast in 2020. Jacob Peters, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, and welcome yourself.
Okay, so the reason why Jacob is so special is because he was my year 11 boyfriend and the longest relationship I had in high school.
I'm special for many more reasons than that. Well, we'll take that.
Okay, I was watching on Instagram today, and I think I sent it to you, the reel of the dude that did the "Will you go out with me" in the 2 boxes. You did that.
Classic move.
You did that. I remember that so well. But we have a history before we started dating in year 11. From when we went to the Philippines together.
Yeah.
And you're looking at me like, what?
Oh, do you remember something I don't?
Yeah, the Philippines,
Yeah, so year 10 went to the Philippines for a trip. So, as far as like life-changing moments go, it was a pretty life-changing trip for me. Certainly gave me a bit of a different perspective on life as you do as a teenage boy. To sort of go over there and say that sort of stuff was an amazing trip, something I still remember very fondly.
I remember you and Bondi getting on like chairs at night time each night with like the Australian flag and singing the national
we did a flag raising ceremony every night and a little piece of home to take with us. So it was like I said, it was a pretty full on, pretty heavy trip. So some of the sort of stuff we saw and some of the things we were doing. So it was certainly an attempt to sort of lighten the mood every night, and Bondi was certainly good for that. So
he
man
was.
And you had to lighten the mood. That man.
And him and Christina got married and had. Did they get married?
I believe so, yeah.
And they've got kids?
I think so, yeah. I haven't seen Bondi in a few years now, but I was mates with him for a long time after school and played footy together and stuff. But I've been in Broken Hill for 10 years now, so you sort of lose track of people and lose touch with people.
Yeah. So let's go back to before we started dating.
Mm-hmm.
It was I feel like it was the first rehearsal for Hunchback of Nostradamus.
Yeah, it was definitely a rehearsal for it, yeah. I don't know whether it was the first one or not, but it was certainly at rehearsal. I remember it in Dominic, what's it called? Dominic Square Theatre or whatever it was.
The Hall or whatever it was.
St. Dominic's Hall, yeah, that's the one.
And if I remember correctly, and you tell me if this is wrong or not, but I remember sign language in inverted commas saying that I liked you from afar.
Yes, and I thought you were saying you had your L's and I didn't. I thought you were taking the piss out of me.
Did you actually?
I did.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
What? That's a weird thing. But okay, yeah, sure. Congratulations, you've got your L's. That's really cool.
I didn't know that you thought that.
I did. I remember thinking, what the fuck is that?
So then how did it go from that to us dating?
Well, I think at the time I was actually going out with Sarah Chataway, who's now a very successful, I believe she's a lawyer.
I have no idea.
lawyer. And so yeah, I was actually going out with her at the time, but
I had no idea.
As teenage relationships can be, they can be fairly fickle. So
I had no idea you were with Sarah.
Well, I remember
No idea.
I certainly was over New Year's and stuff, and I reckon into school.
Yeah.
I remember buying her a Valentine's Day present, so it must have rolled through to February at least. But yeah, then obviously sometime after that, decided that no, I'd had enough of that, and
Shit.
time to test my toes in other waters.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so we went from, I had no idea about Sarah, but we went from that to then you doing that piece of paper with the, will you go out with me?
Yeah, 100% success rate.
Yeah, and then I ticked yes, and then we were together all throughout year 11.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it would have been maybe not quite a year, but
Yeah, but it was definitely pretty close to the whole school
yeah,
year, I remember.
So, yeah, maybe, I couldn't tell you when, but yeah.
I couldn't either.
I'd say, yeah, probably a bit less than a year.
Yeah, there was a lot of, from my end, there was a lot of firsts in that relationship.
Yes, certainly for me, yes.
This is so funny talking about it with you, face to face. This is hilarious. Yeah, so I learnt a lot about myself, I think, in that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I probably learned a fair bit about you as well.
Oh, shut up.
It's that age, isn't it, where you're starting to learn about yourself?
But I feel like I was a lot more confident then than I feel like I am now.
I think that's probably pretty common for a teenager. You're sort of in your glory days as a teenager. I certainly feel the same sometimes. That you know, sort of your peak personality sometimes is your 17, 18-year-old self. Mm-hmm. And then real life starts and you become an adult and have to do adult things and go away from just doing all the fun things that you love and having no responsibilities and no cares in the world.
That's true. That's
true.
certainly.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be alone in that thought, no.
I felt like I didn't, and maybe it's the part of the brain that still hasn't developed yet, because consequence doesn't really start developing neurologically in the brain until you're an adult.
I won't disagree with you, but neurology
Just
isn't
what
my
I
strong sense.
remember from uni.
Yeah, I just
That's
think
all I
just part of growing up and getting older and wiser, isn't it? That you learn things that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's rewind from before you and I got up to no good.
Mm-hmm.
Who was your first crush? Was it a celebrity? Was it a person you went to school with? And what happened with that?
First crush would probably be, I remember being a young boy and having all sorts of feelings around Sandy in Greece when she wore her leather outfit. Olivia Newton-John.
How old were you then?
Rest in peace. I remember being a young boy and
How young is young, though?
I don't know. How young would I have been when Grease came out? I don't know. I was born in 86, so do the maths.
I don't know. You asking me to do the maths, so is stupid.
Yeah, I would say, yes. Sandy was probably my first. Olivia Newton-John from Grease was probably my first celebrity crush.
Right, okay.
Now it's definitely Missy Higgins. So Missy Higgins, if you're a Bachelorette listener. She's
lovely.
Missy Higgins is my leave pass, but not for like, I don't want to be her best friend. That's,
Let's be real.
I want us to hang out and our kids be friends and stuff. So Missy Higgins now.
Okay, I can make that happen for you.
Simon Fink said the same thing, but he didn't come through. So.
Well, I got connections. Simon Fink doesn't have the connections. I can make that happen.
Yeah. It'd be much appreciated.
Okay, so Missy Higgins now. So what is it about Missy Higgins that...
I don't know. I just think, I think for me, a lot of it is like having grown up with it. So, like obviously, when she sort of first came on the scene through the Triple J Unearthed stuff was, I remember being in like year 10 at school and like hearing like All for Believing, and it was like it just took off. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And then, year 12 rolled around. It's when sort of her first album came out, and then now true. Like the thing she sings about now is like, going through the same stuff. So, when she met her partner and like Futon Couch comes out, and she sings these songs about finding a partner and settling down and getting married and all this stuff, and it's like, sort of had a similar progression. It's like I said, she almost feels like someone that you've just grown up with. So
that's true.
That's certainly part of the appeal. But she's gorgeous as well.
Yeah,
so
she's really pretty.
But I think that's sort of been part of it. That like I said, with artists like that, you sort of feel like you grow up with them a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so moving on from celebrities, who was your first girlfriend? And you don't have to use like full names and stuff. You can.
Oh, like my first proper girlfriend
Yeah.
was, I'd say year 6. It was a girl called Megan Spaeth. So she was a
Yeah.
twin.
Right.
It was Megan and Yana. We were in the same class in year 6. So, I think Megan.
This is that when we.
That's his year 6 at Cabra. So,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, before your day.
Yeah,
The
before I got
OG,
there.
The OG
Yeah,
Cabra people.
sure.
So yeah, Megan and I went out for, I would say, most of year 6.
Right.
I remember her being my girlfriend all through year 6.
So what did that mean though, Jacob? Did you hold hands? Did you make out? What'd you do?
I think we probably kissed. Would have been Sam's disco days, I reckon. In year 6.
Sounds disco. Fuck me.
So
yeah.
I remember going to Sam's disco with her and maybe having a slow dance and a little touch on the bum, but
Jesus Christ.
yeah, sort of nothing more than that. I would say we kissed, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was certainly it. So yeah, Megan Spaeth in year 6 was my first real girlfriend, and then
How long did that last for,
I
Jacob?
would say most of, again, probably a similar time period, better part of a year.
Yeah, right.
I remember we broke up because she moved away, so her family took over the Lake Bonnie Caravan Park out in Barmera. So I don't know if the Spaeth family are still floating around out in the far north, but yeah, so they took off there. We stayed in touch for a little while, and then couldn't make the long distance relationship work as 11-year-old, so
No.
it was pretty tough. So decided to call it after a few letters back and forth.
Sure. Oh, you were so good at the letters.
And then,
you were so good at the letters.
I've always been a little softy.
Yes, this is true. This is true. You were excellent at the letters. Like, I cannot... Yeah, you were... Like, because I got a few letters from boys at school, and your letters were always very thoughtful, a lot of detail. They were great, and they were very funny, too.
I thought I was a little sweetheart, but
You were.
teenage girls don't really like the sweetheart boy, so
What are you talking about?
they like the Braden Hampsteads with their backwards hats and eyebrow piercings and stuff. So
No.
the Maddie Jansons, they're the ones that clean up in their teenage years.
What are those two doing even?
Braden's in Perth, got a lovely family, still keep in touch with him. So
He's
got
lovely. Braden's lovely.
Joel, and they've got a little girl Isla, who's not
Yeah, that's right.
not all. So she's maybe a little bit younger than my daughter Elliot. Maddie Jansen and Shelley are still together. They've got two kids. Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah.
I probably haven't seen Maddie in a couple of years.
I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah, it was sort of 2017 would be maybe the last time I saw Maddie.
Yeah, right.
But yes, both settled down family men now. Braden still rocks a backwards cap and looks cooler than everyone.
Yeah, but he doesn't have his eyebrow ring anymore.
No, he's lost the eyebrow ring, yeah.
Oh, God, memories of Braden as well. Right, sure. Yep, just casting my mind back. Okay, so after that relationship in year 6,
Yeah.
what happened next?
My next one was... I don't think I had a girlfriend in year 7.
How come? Too busy?
Just
played the
just
field?
swapped down with work and life and,
Yeah.
all the responsibilities you have as a year 7.
Sure.
And I remember liking Dimity Slater, but
Right, she was
it
cute.
was we sort of floated around it for a little while, but
Yeah.
never could get our act into gear.
Yeah, right.
I certainly couldn't get mine on to speak for her, but year 7 was quiet on the dating front. I started being a little bit of a rat bag in year 7, got in a bit of trouble, hanging out with Jimbo and the boys.
Yep.
And then,
Say no more.
year 8 would have been Rachel. In relationship with Rachel for a little while, and Rachel was probably the first girl that I think I could safely say I was absolutely smitten by. So,
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I was madly, truly in love with Rachel as much as you are as a year 8 boy.
We went on a double date. You, Rachel, and who and
I
me.
think there was more of us. Wasn't
there was.
Dale Osborne and
Yeah,
you
it was when-
me, and there was a whole bunch of us went to the movies. I reckon.
All I can remember is you, Rachel, me, and Dale.
I bet you wouldn't remember too much of the movie.
Shut the fuck up.
Fair to say. But yeah, I remember the date you're talking about. But there was certainly a group of us.
What was the movie again?
I want to say
Something-
Mystery Alaska, maybe.
Maybe.
It was like an ice hockey movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to go with Mystery Alaska.
Okay.
But
And people had a fun time at that
some
movie.
people did.
Yeah, some people did. Some people definitely did. Yes, I remember.
I think Dale enjoyed it.
Yeah, Dale had a really good time. We were only together for how long, me and Dale? I can't even remember.
I wouldn't have a clue.
No.
He was another handsome devil in school, still is.
Yeah.
Another
Is he?
married down family man.
Yes, he is. That's true.
Again,
That's
probably
true.
haven't seen him in
I haven't seen him in a long
2013
time.
or something when I
Shit.
came back here. I came
Yeah,
back to Adelaide to
long
live for a
time.
bit.
Long time. Okay, so from Rachel, how long were you and Rachel together? I don't even know.
Yeah, I'd say similar, about a year maybe. Oh, no, sorry, nah, not at that point. Not
Because
long
you
at all.
guys got together after you and me.
Yeah, so, year 8, it didn't last very long.
Mm-hmm. Why
I
was
think I was a
that?
little bit too much in love with Rachel for Rachel to maintain her attention. I was
You
probably a
didn't
little bit full on.
hide it. Yeah.
No,
You didn't hide
I was an
it.
emotional little boy. So
Yeah, but that's good though.
exactly, I thought so, but maybe not so much.
So where do you think the example of you being so confident with your emotions and how you felt in relationships, where did that come from? Because
No,
your
I think-
dad's pretty
I think
good
my
like
family.
that.
I wouldn't say. I just think that it's for me. It's growing up with sisters.
Sure.
I have a bit of a rule around guys that grew up with sisters versus guys that didn't. I
That's
think
right,
it's-
you do
I think it sort of
too.
smartens you up a little bit, and particularly when it comes to women, the way you treat women and things like that.
Most men.
Yeah, certainly most men. I think there's a bit of a rule there, but yeah, I don't know. My family are very sort of. Emotions have never been something you've had to hide in
Right.
my family, so good or bad, it's always been something you can sort of come out, say what you need to say, and know that it's it's fine to be angry, happy, sad,
Well, that's
whatever,
good.
and then you can sort of work your way through it, get over it. So I think so, and it's something I've realised, like certainly later in life, in the last couple of years. But yeah, at the time, I think it was just.
I love
like
you,
said,
here
as
it is,
as a teenager, you don't really give a shit, do you? So you're sort of coming into that period of your life where it's, you're trying to figure yourself out, so you're a bigger, better version of yourself than you probably are.
Yeah.
That was, certainly me. I was always a little hopeless romantic, so,
So what was the most romantic thing you did as a teenager, you think?
oh, shit. I don't know, probably the letter writing, wrote a lot of poems in my day.
You did.
wrote
Your poems
songs.
are great. Uh-huh.
I was always copying song lyrics and stuff, and big on that. I'd say that, poems or songs or gift giving. I remember stealing a few things from my sisters to give to girls over the years. So trying to find some sparkly little things that they wouldn't notice are going missing. So
right.
got away with that a couple of times.
Oh,
so.
well done. Well done. I do remember, now that you say song lyrics, I remember in one of our exams, you'd finished your exam early and you ended up writing a letter or song lyrics or something in that exam and gave it to me after an exam.
No, you go and
I
take
remember
word
that.
for it.
No, I do. I went through like diaries when I first moved into this house. I went through like boxes. I was trying to get rid of things.
Yeah.
So I found like a whole box, because you know how I used to keep journals and shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember or not. But I found a whole box of journals from when we were in school, and there was all these letters stuck in these journals, and fuck me, teenage boys are graphic as shit. My God.
Times have changed, hey?
Well, I don't know, have they?
Maybe now it just happens on the mobile phone.
Yeah,
versus
through
pen and paper.
Snapchat. And you can't keep Snapchat. I don't have it, but you can't keep Snapchat.
You're not supposed to anyway. It's an unwritten rule. You can if you're sneaky,
Sneaky.
but you're not sneaky.
No.
Everyone knows you're not allowed to, so no one does.
No. But I think letters, we should go back to that. Because
Yeah.
letters are sentimental
I
and
think so.
they're
It's
romantic.
nice to receive a letter.
I still, in every relationship I've had as an adult, have written letters. Never fucking gotten one back, Jacob. Never. This shit.
No, I remember, in my last relationship, so with my wife, as we were sort of falling apart, that was the number one advice that we were given, is to write letters, because it gives you a chance to sit and think about your thoughts and have time with them and stuff. So
Yeah.
there's definitely something in it. There's definitely something therapeutic about writing it down.
So that means
And even if
you
it
got
doesn't,
them back too.
I don't think we ever did. We certainly wrote them to each other, and then we're meant to sit down and sort of read them out, but never got there. But yeah, there's certainly something in writing a letter. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there is.
And reading a letter, I think it just allows you to slow down a little bit, and
Yeah, and process shit.
yeah, definitely.
Process stuff. Yeah, bring back the letter. Okay, so we're in year 8 still, right?
Yeah.
So you and Rachel were together for a few months, whatever it was.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been long.
And then year 9, what'd you do?
I don't think I had a girlfriend much more throughout school. I had a few girls that, again, like it might have lasted a week or whatever, that had a bit of a go, but no, nothing ever really. Nothing. I was a trumpet playing, ballet dancing, choir singing.
That's right.
So I wasn't really a stud.
Oh no, that's not true.
In my own right, I suppose, but no, it was again probably not. I didn't certainly feel popular with the ladies in
Really?
school. Again, yeah, you just sort of as the choir boy, trumpet player, you're not the cool kid. So,
but you also played
like
footy and shit.
yeah, I was a bit of a walking, talking contradiction.
Yeah. So what are you talking about?
Yeah, it was sort of weird. I loved high school. Like it's the thing I take from it was exactly that I did everything.
Yeah, you did.
Whatever school had to offer, I did it. Schoolwork was just kind of the thing you had to do to be allowed to do that. I wasn't there for the schoolwork, for the academics. I was just there to do whatever I could. So it was Latin dance, if it was break dance, if it was beatbox, if it was bloody musical theatre, if it was, I didn't care, and whatever it was, let me do it. Trumpet lessons, singing lessons, choirs, bands, anything. So yeah, I did everything.
Speaking of the musical, I remember, God, I shouldn't be sharing this shit. I remember, like, in between scenes, side stage.
In my stage crew days.
No, when you were in the, like...
Oh, the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah. And in between...
member of the Spanish Inquisition.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember your velvet, like, black velvet cloak thing.
A sadistic cloak. Yeah, my cult cloak. Yeah.
And I remember us making out side stage in between scenes and shit.
Full teenage spec.
Yes, I remember that. I do remember that. Oh my God. Yeah, that's just taken me back.
Shit you remember, eh?
I know. As we're unpacking this, there's different things that are popping into my mind that I remember. And that's one of them. I don't know. Going back to the Philippines, I don't know how they let us sleep so close to each other. There was only those compact, the accordion doors in between us, and the teachers were downstairs in their own rooms.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember where I was going to say I thought they were in with us, but no, there you go.
They were downstairs in their own. Because I remember seeing Mr. Flint, and what was
Miss McIntosh.
Thank you, Miss McIntosh. They were, in their own rooms.
All right. Yeah, I don't remember that, but yeah, it was I suppose an interesting thing back then, but
yeah. And none of us got up to anything.
No. Well, like I said, it was a school trip, wasn't it? And there was there was me and Bondi were in one room, but there would have been 8 of you girls or something in the other room, 6 or 8 of you, I think. So,
but I'm talking about the fact that, we weren't going out then. Obviously, yeah. I was with somebody else, but I'm saying the proximity, especially with Bondi, he was with Holly at the time, wasn't he?
I don't think they were then. No,
they were after. Okay,
I believe so.
Wow. Yeah, the Philippines really, really did a lot for relationships.
Never really had a lot of girlfriends and stuff through school. I was always doing something, so
yeah.
Like I said, it wasn't. I mean, as a teenager, obviously you want one, but I never really tried.
Yeah,
I think
they just all flocked to you, Jacob.
Not at all. Didn't happen at all. No. Yeah. So no. I don't remember having a lot of girlfriends in school.
Yeah.
Like I said, Rachel was probably the one that would keep coming back here and there, where I was just like I said, just infatuated with her the whole way through high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're never sort of together. Maybe some 2 or 3 week relationships here or there. I remember Dana was one that didn't last very long.
Oh, really?
Hang
on, which Dana?
I don't know what her name is now. She's in my homeroom. Dana.
Rosso?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, didn't know
I remember
that
going
one.
on a double date with her and Jared, and we got locked out of the house and just had to sit on the trampoline with the dogs.
At whose house?
Maybe Dana's. Does she live near school?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we went to Macca's. I think Jared was with maybe Nikki at the time, or Rhiannon.
Oh, jeez. That's a
we
weird combo.
We weren't allowed in the house, so we went to Macca's and then went to their house, and me and Jared got locked outside and sat on the trampoline. So yeah, that relationship didn't last very long.
No.
I want to say maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and
Yeah, sure.
I think she kind of got sick of it. Then yeah, Rhiannon is another one that I remember.
Which Rhiannon?
Rhiannon Muir.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which was maybe a month or something like that. Again, not a long time. Yeah, and then Sarah Chataway would have been the next one.
Yeah,
Like I
right.
said, that was probably the start of more serious relationships.
Yeah.
It was Sarah, then yourself, and then Rachel after you. But yeah, not until later in high school. I think year 10, year 11, year 12.
So what would you say is the biggest takeaway or lessons collectively from the high school relationships in inverted commas?
I think like I said, every relationship you learn something about yourself or something about relationships. Sarah was certainly a girl that I got on very well with. I think we had a great friendship. She was just a cool girl. So there was one that always sort of left a bad taste in my mouth was for sort of the way that ended with her, and caught up with her years later and sort of said the same thing. But obviously it's teenage stuff, so you don't really give a shit. But I think that was that was one that left a bad taste in my mouth of certainly the way to end a relationship and things. Yours was probably my takeaway from our relationship was I remember you and my family not getting on well.
Yes.
And probably not doing enough about it to stop it blowing up into a bigger thing, which became a recurring thing for me in the later relationship. That was probably the takeaway from that. I don't think we ended on the best terms, you and I.
No, we didn't. We didn't, but not all of that was completely in either of our control.
No.
No.
And then, Rachel was, again, that was just kind of an age thing. Again, just that sort of, I remember we sort of split up not long before schoolies in year 12. Maybe we were together for schoolies, but it was like, sort of 1-2 months through that period of, I remember like exam time in year 12, that was sort of trying. She wasn't at, she was at like a dance school at the time.
That's right.
So I remember that being a hard period. And then my birthday, which is end of the year, I remember there again, it was a sort of a rocky patch. But I think for me, that was probably the first time that really hurt, because it was just kind of like someone that you just grow apart from, and it just wasn't working, and and that sucked. So I think you take something from every relationship that you try to be better with the next time, but you may figure it out, you may not. I think that's part of life though, isn't it? Growing up, and
it is.
The only way to learn is to fuck it up and try to avoid doing it the next time.
Yeah.
So,
and I remember in our 20s, you and I had unpacked the shit that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did unpack that. Moving on from high school.
Yeah.
Did you continue with the hopeless romantic, letter writing, bold?
A little bit. So my next relationship after school, I probably had from 18 through to 19 where I was just single. Never had girlfriends or anything. A lot of that was because when I left school, I knew I was joining the army. So at that point, I had an enlistment date to join the army, which was sort of 18 months away. So sort of knowing that I didn't want to get into a relationship before then, but also just being an 18-year-old boy, getting to go out and be single and whatever, all of the fun stuff that you get to do as an 18-year-old and go make trouble with the boys and all of that. Playing footy, all that sort of, I just enjoyed being an 18-year-old boy and being around the boys and stuff.
So who were the boys at that time?
At that time, it was, probably when I started leaning a lot more towards my footy club. Sort of as you grow up and leave school, I sort of never really got trapped in the high school circles. I think our footy club was, it was Mitcham Footy Club, but it was certainly a lot of Cabra guys there.
Yeah, they were.
But again, guys like Bondi and stuff that, I certainly knew them through school, but start sort of forming relationships with them outside of the school environment and again in just a social setting. So yeah, still certainly good mates with my sort of core group of Sasha and Macca and Jimbo and all those boys. I think, Braden sort of moved away at that point, so that's when he went over west. So yeah, that sort of 18-month period there where, people are getting jobs and apprenticeships and moving out into the world, and that's when I joined the army.
Why did you join the army?
It's just always what I wanted to do. I think through school I was sort of never interested in doing anything else. I remember work experience, going to work in a mechanic shop and just thinking like, this fucking does not interest me at all. Like, what am I doing here? I don't want to be a mechanic.
No.
The only thing I'd ever wanted to do was, whether I'd even always wanted to do it was just something that always held my attention. Was like any book I ever read, the only books I could read were about war and soldiers and stuff.
Sure.
So it just interested me. And the more I looked into it, the more I saw it as a career path. My best mate at the time, he always wanted to join, so he was certainly a big driving force behind it. He went officers and I went General Army and ended up as an infantry soldier.
Right.
And then, didn't get in a relationship until just before I left, literally like 6 weeks before I left for the army, which ended up being a roller coaster, an absolute shit fight of a relationship, a real roller coaster. And something that, again, sort of should have been nipped in the butt a lot earlier, but some of my own faults and some of her own faults just snowballed and, ended up in a relationship for 6 years or something, which ended in an engagement, which was sort of never going to, and it just, an absolute shit fight.
Yeah. So
very,
why
very nasty.
did you guys get engaged? Sorry to talk over you.
Yeah, no, it's
Why
okay.
did you
So
get engaged?
again, it was probably I have a tendency to just, to people please and to sort of go along with things and never really want to rock the boat too much. So I got together with this girl and she was certainly she was driving a relationship. I didn't want a relationship. She did some sort of questionable, tricky things when we first got together to sort of lure me in and keep me in when when I first left for the army. So again, it was sort of always my intention to go for the army and sort of cut ties or whatever. But she sort of managed to get her hooks in through some sneaky things. And then, which again, when you sort of start a relationship on that, it was just snowballed throughout the years and it became and it's hard enough having a relationship in the army at the best of times. I deployed to southern Iraq during that time, so you're away for 6 months.
So do you get to choose that, Jacob? No.
To an extent, they certainly can't send you without you agreeing to it.
So do you think you went, was it 2 or 3 occasions that you went away?
Only once. I only deployed once, but did a lot of like training and
Sure.
you're getting shipped all around the country to do training and courses and things like that. So, in the bit over 4 years that I was in the army, I was maybe at home for 2 years. When I say at home, in my actual house. So,
Sure.
a lot of the time when you're home in Australia, you're still going out bush, during the week or whatever. In Darwin, we had sort of 2 training areas in Darwin that you'd go to. So, it was very rarely a week would go by where you're working like 8 to 4. You're not home every night. You're in Darwin, but so it's tough. And even, the strongest of relationships in the army can suffer. So, when you're in a shitty relationship anyway, it's pretty hard to maintain.
So how did you maintain it for 6 years then?
By just going along with it. Yeah, again, just sort of got myself in deeper and deeper. And it was, again, I don't remember a period of, a couple of months where I didn't think, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, how did I get here? But again, it was just always easier to sort of go with it. Part of that was just that she had given up a lot. So she'd moved from Adelaide to Darwin to follow me. Sort of, the deal we'd made was, initially she'd follow me, and then it was when she'd finished her uni courses and stuff, that's when I'd be in the army long enough to repay the favour. And it just became this big, obviously a big tug of war between, I've done all this for you type arguments. And so you just sort of get stuck into it, get snowballed, and you just get further and further out of hand. So
that's sad.
She had some problems which I didn't help. Again, you're feeding problems and just being too young and dumb to understand what's going on. And
so how old were you? 19, did you say?
19 when I joined. And I don't know how old I would have been, but in my mid-20s before we split up. So 2006 we got together and split up in the end of 2012. So
Right.
19 through to 25 for argument's sake.
Yeah, right.
So that sort of early 20s period when it's meant to be the fun time. Actually, it's not what I was doing.
No.
I remember spending my Iraq money on furniture for the house and teak furniture and homewares and stuff. So I copped a fair bit of shit from the boys for that. But
Why'd you tell them though?
that's what I spent it on. So I had a house. I used to walk into a house and it was just like I had more furniture than what any house would need. So it was just being too dumb and wanting to
do the right
the right thing by everyone else rather than myself, which turns out to not be the right thing by other people anyway. So
where do you think that comes from, Jacob? The people pleasing.
I think a lot of it comes from seeing my dad. So I'll probably choke myself up think about it, but my dad's a guy that I can't fault.
Your dad's
he's always been the guy that's there for everyone. Ever reliable. But I think dad versus me probably has a better clutch on when it's time to say no to people. That's something that I've only sort of learnt in the last couple of years since starting through therapy and seeing a psych. Is that the old adage of you can't fill someone else's cup if yours isn't, if yours is empty. So it's certainly something that I've learned in the last couple of years that I need to manage.
Right.
But for me, it's him, and my grandpa was much the same. Like I said, you have role models that are the types of people that are always there for someone. But when you don't, like I said, when they balance it a little bit better than I probably do, because I think it's just that constant one up, see someone doing something, you think, I like that, so I want to do it better than what they do it. But probably didn't have as good a grasp on it as what I thought I did. So something that, like I said, that's all part of growing up and understanding that, looking out for other people isn't necessarily always the best thing to do.
Yeah.
You have to be able to, like I said, look after yourself, and not bad to be selfish sometimes. So I think that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
And I think, most of my family will say the same thing. I think the same about my sisters. My older sister's certainly got a much better grasp on that type of thing, but she's a social worker by trade, so sort of understands it a lot better that, there's been there for other people, but sometimes you have to,
put the boundaries up.
Turn the lights off and close the doors and tell everyone to get fucked.
Yeah.
So.
Bye. Yeah. I think your dad and my dad are quite similar in that generosity of spirit with people. But I feel like my dad doesn't know when to say no.
Yeah.
I think that's where I get it from as well.
Yeah, and I think it is it's a generational thing, isn't it? That it's the thing where you either see your parents doing something that you like, or you see them doing something that you don't like. So you either do what they did or do the opposite. So it's this sort of bracketing thing of you go too far one way and then too far the other way until you find the middle. So that's all part of growing up. And
how do you think you work out what the right level is?
Again, I just think for me it's become that I've learned again in the last couple of years since working with a psych and doing a lot of the self-work myself, that you have to just realise that, like, if I'm not getting anything from a relationship, it can't be something you invest in. Relationships generally they have to be a two-way street. And if you're not both working on it or you're not both getting something out of it, then it's destined to fail. And it's not even if you're not both working on it, but you need to understand how the other person sees things. So I use the example of myself and my ex-wife, where had the perfect relationship. We sort of talked to anyone and we were the bloody Hallmark card relationship, and then just found a way to fuck it up. Where if you I sort of do what I think is the right thing to do, she does what she thinks is the right thing to do, I read what she's doing as the complete opposite, she reads what I'm doing as, and it's not that either of us are trying to do the wrong thing by the other, but just the inability to sit down and say, this is what I'm trying to do, are you receiving it as what I'm trying to send? But if you can't have those discussions, and then take it from me, you'll find a way to fuck it up. So I think that's sort of the boundary for me, is that one, you have to understand that if you're not getting something out of it, then like anything, you don't give the barista a bloody $5 and then not get a coffee. Any relationship that you have with people is based on give and take. It has to be a two-way street.
Yep.
And then exactly that if it's not working, you have to be able to sit down and think, what are we doing? What's happening here, and why is it going wrong?
Why do you think people, and I've experienced this, why do you think people are so scared to have the uncomfortable conversations? Yeah,
again, it's being vulnerable, and people have their own their own association with that, their own history with it. Again, for me, it was always something that I've always had the ability to lean into it.
Yeah,
I've never had a problem with, which again, I think comes down to my family and it's childhood, it's the way you raise, it's the way your parents are, the way the close people are around you, that if you can come to someone with something difficult and they help you, solve a problem, and you see, right, there's a reward in coming to someone with a problem, you learn to come to people with a problem. But if you've had a bad past or not had great relationships in the past where you've come to someone and they've sort of said, nah, get fucked, that's yours to deal with, and not helped you, then you sort of learn to, I'll just deal with this myself, and that just sort of drives people away. So you have to be able to come together and say, why isn't it working, what's going on here, and sort of put your own shit, realise what's yours and realise what's theirs, and sort of take what's yours and what's not.
We've spoken about that a few times, what's theirs and what's yours. And you and I have, you introduced me to those 2 Instagram accounts that were very helpful about attachment style, having an understanding about how people come to the responses and reactions that they have, which was always really helpful. But I don't think many people understand how to unpack and how to empathize, but then when to go, I've done everything I can on my end and this person's not meeting me on the other side. It can sometimes be a habit of, I know I've experienced this, where I keep giving benefit of the doubt, I keep justifying, intellectually understanding why people are the way that they are, and then putting my needs on the back burner and just focusing on the other person and trying to make sure that I'm all over what's happening for them.
I think, for me, that was, what Oprah would call an aha moment, was when I first started my therapy, was understanding attachment style, and exactly that which is sort of what I touched on before, that everyone just has a different way of solving a problem. So there's no right or wrong way around a problem, but when you've got 2 people trying to solve a problem 2 different ways, there has to be a point where you come in and say, this isn't working, so we need to find a way around it. So for me, that was the big thing, because understanding attachment style was where I realised that, the other person isn't necessarily doing shit to hurt you. No one ever, there's very few people in the world that go out of their way to hurt other people. Most people are looking for connection. That's what we're sort of here to do.
You'd hope.
But everyone's just got a wrong way, not a wrong way, a different way around it. So, understanding that, and I think, that's probably been the second thing for me, the second big understanding of sort of my therapy journey has been that there's a difference between understanding why someone's doing it and being okay with it. You can understand why someone solves a problem the way they do it, or address an issue the way they address it, but you can say, it's not for me. You keep going that way, I'm gonna, this is where I part ways and
that's
and
hard,
go my way. Yeah, it is. It's really
Jacob.
hard. Yeah. So like I said, it's me and my ex-wife are a textbook example of that, where if you can't get on the same page at the same time, it's just, you're destined to fail, because if one person's not buying in, and then tides turn and the other one says, look, I've been buying in for trying to solve this problem for so long, and then they say I'm out, and then the other one says, well, hang on, I realise that I've done it the wrong way now, and it's timing, and that's why the ability to sit down and say, what the fuck's going on here, and how are we fucking this up, is so important, because you have to be able to understand each other and say, your way of doing this isn't working for me, and my way of doing it's not working for you, so what's mine, what's yours, and what can we fix together? So I think attachment style's certainly been a big key learning for me, and then just that notion of understanding, but you don't have to be okay with it. You can understand why people do the things they do, and sympathise with them for it, and say, shit, I understand why you're going about it this way, but no, it's not for me. So the ability to say, I still care about you, still love you, but the way you're doing this
is not the right thing.
Well, not necessarily not the right thing, but not good for me. Doesn't suit me. So I think that's probably they're probably the 2 big learnings I've taken from relationships, and like I said, it's the ability to to stop yourself getting stuck in that cycle of responding the way that you think you should respond, and sort of stopping yourself and saying, hang on a minute, what can I choose here? What can I...
Because it's hard when you're in the moment and you're literally reacting to the instinctual, or this is a bad habit that I do, I shut myself down and I let the other person get their point of view across and then try and fix, calm and smooth it all over. And then in that process, I've put all my wants and needs in that scenario because I'm too scared of what the response will be on the back burner, and then that just keeps piling up.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. You've got to have two people that are sort of understanding what their contribution is, and if you don't understand that, you're not able to come to each other with what you're doing, then you're never going to get anywhere. You're never both going to be on the same page at the same time, and take it from me, you'll fuck it up. So
and especially if you've been given, like you were saying before, if you go to somebody with, okay, this is the problem, this is what I'd like us to work on, can we meet a middle ground? And then it's met with, you need to choose the right time to talk to me about this. We need to have a conversation about this another time. And then that's the general response. When you do try and bring things forward, then you're very reluctant to go and share.
Yeah. I think that an example my psych used to me early on is you think about a kid in a playground. So think about it, a parent watching a child in a playground, which anyone out there with kids will know exactly what it's like. You sort of sit there and you want to, no, don't climb up there, you'll fall, sort of thing. But, the story she used is, imagine a kid in a playground that walks off and wants to do something dangerous. They want to climb up on the tower or something. They start climbing the ladder and they fall down.
Right.
So it will happen every time a kid does it. The first thing they do is stand up and either look for mum and dad or come running back to mum and dad. Right? So if mum and dad are there and say, you're all right, it's fine, off you go, then the kid learns that I can climb the ladder, I can fall over, I can run back to mum and dad, get the thumbs up, get the pat on the head, get the hug, and off go climb the ladder again.
Yeah.
Or again, you can turn around, mum and dad haven't seen it, or ignore you. So the kid learns, right? Well, next time I fall off a ladder, I won't go looking for mum and dad. So it's that you have to be able to come to each other with a problem and say, I just fell off a ladder. What are we going to do about it, sort of thing. So it's super important. And I think like I said, all you can do is try to understand when someone comes to you with a problem that it's their problem. You do need to help them solve it. You've got to try to solve it together.
If you love them and you give a shit.
And then part of it is saying to them, this isn't part of this. X, Y, Z's mine, but A, B, C, that's for you. So you take that and do what you want with it, and I'll take these bits and we'll get there together, sort of thing. So
that's good, Jacob. It's very mature. It's very mature. Okay, we're going to pivot a little bit. I'm going to ask you some standard questions.
Okay.
What do you value most in a relationship?
I think for me it's honesty and the ability to be approachable, to be able to come to someone and say you've got a problem, to be able to raise a problem with someone. It's very easy to tell someone how good they are and all the rest of it, but something I've certainly focused on since fucking up a relationship that meant a lot to me, which was a good relationship, is that now, so I've got a women's footy team, and my big thing is like, if I'm doing something wrong, you have to be able to come to me and say you're doing this wrong, because at the end of the day, like, all we've got is our voice, and if something doesn't suit us, you have to be able to at least voice your opinion and say this is fucked. So I think to be able to be approachable with a problem. So be approachable and be honest.
Honesty is very, very, very important.
Yeah.
Do you think because you've been married and you have a beautiful daughter, you do either one of those things again?
Get married or have a kid?
Yeah.
I haven't wanted another kid since having Elliot. So both myself and my ex-wife, we always said before we had Elliot that we wanted 2 kids, and then had Elliot, and sort of neither of us ever had the real urge to have another one. We got involved in fostering for a couple of years there, where it was we sort of took that as a bit of a dip our toe in the water again and see if we wanted more kids. But I think it sort of, if anything, filled the void of not wanting kids. Sort of reinforced that belief that again that sort of opens the window that there's enough kids out there that need help anyway. So
correct.
Why bring more into it if you can help some that are already out there and then do that. So yeah, no, not have kids again. Get married. I'm at a point where I probably don't want a relationship. Whether that's something that lasts for the rest of my life or not, I don't know. But I would still say that I'm still pretty hurt and going through dealing with that. Again, having lost a significant relationship. But, I didn't get married to be separated and to break up and be single again. So yeah, that's something that I'm still dealing with, and I think part of that for me is understanding that where I went wrong, I have to be able to look after myself first and sort of get what I want from myself before I'm ready to bring someone else in and sort of put that responsibility on them. Because that was certainly something I did wrong in my last relationship, was throwing all my apples in one basket.
But when you're getting married, that's like what you do.
Yeah, I don't think it is. There's a very interesting woman. Her name's Esther Perel, who's a bit of a relationships guru.
Right.
And that's sort of her main point is that if you look at marriage throughout the ages, it's changed drastically. If you look at what marriage started as, it was a matter of who owned the sheep and the goats, and you had kids for the sake of someone taking over the land, and your wife, you knew that the kids were your kids because your wife was the one that had them, and there was sort of no other way around it. And now it's, back then they had church as a much bigger part. They had community where they're all, and they sort of outsourced everything. But now you have this idea that one person comes into your life and they're supposed to be your intellectual equal. They're meant to be your emotional support. They're meant to be your your lover, your everything. You sort of put everything into one person and say, everything I want out of life, I'm going to put that on you.
Right.
And it's not fair. And I'm probably a textbook example of doing that, where I put a lot of expectation on my wife to provide me with everything, because I just thought that's the way you do it. But yeah, I think you have to be able to spread yourself thinner and get more from different places. And a big part of that is fulfilling your own wants and needs, because if you're putting all that on someone else and they don't come through with the deal, then you sort of feel like you're being shortchanged when you're shortchanging yourself,
Correct.
So I think that's probably part of it. Is for me, that's sort of the point I'm at the moment, where I certainly don't look to have a relationship at the moment, because I know that I've got a lot of things that I still need to work on myself.
Sure.
To make sure that having fucked up 2 relationships now, it's a matter of not doing it again.
Yeah.
Certainly one that I wanted to fuck up, but
yeah,
the second one I didn't. And when that happens as an adult, like I said, after you've been married and had kids, you sort of have to sit there and pause and think, fuck, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, right.
It's not fun.
So what would you say to people that keep doing that then?
I just think that that would be my takeaway, is that if you're doing it, then I'm not going to psychoanalyze everyone, but I'd say that if you're doing it, in a lot of cases you're doing it because you're looking for someone to fill a void, or to fill a need, or to fill a want that 99% of the time you can fulfill yourself, or you can fulfill elsewhere. People that get in relationships because they want people to make them feel better about themselves, or boost their own ego, or sort of ease their own insecurities, that you can do that yourself. You can feel worthwhile, you can feel loved, you can feel wanted without being in a relationship.
Yes.
You can feel worthy and important, all those things, without you don't need a relationship to do any of that. So sort of try to tick as many boxes as you can before you get into a relationship and expect someone else to fulfill them for you, because it's not fair.
No, it's not fair. You're right with the I think we've spoken about this before. You've got to make sure that you are filling your own cup, and then anything else on top of that is an added bonus, really. Yeah,
like I said, if you're sort of comfortable in your own skin and comfortable with what you're doing, then if someone comes to you with a problem, you can you've got what you need there to be able to help them, rather than drowning yourself and not being able to help.
That's true. Okay, next question. What's your favourite thing about being single?
I think for me, it's probably time to myself is probably the thing I've enjoyed the most. Mm-hmm. Again, having been, 19 and in a relationship, I sort of had those, 18 months of being single and doing whatever I want. But as an 18-year-old boy, like still living with mum and dad, and you're paying prepaid phone credit, and that's about it. So you've got freedom to an extent, but you're not sort of living your own life.
No.
And then, all through my early 20s, being in a relationship with someone, I'd never lived on my own until I was 35 years old and separated.
Right, yeah.
So, that was a big learning curve for me of literally being in a house on my own for the first time in my life, and not having someone else to, when you have kids and stuff, it's constantly you're running around making sure the kids eating and their bags packed or they're home from school and doing homework, and then they go to bed, and it's, you have an hour in the afternoon to wash dishes and whatever, and then you go to bed yourself. So sort of any other parent out there will know. But when I was single and living on my own, it was like, holy fuck. What do I do with all this time? It's probably been the big thing.
So have you been having like naked dance parties by yourself?
Again, a lot of it's just finding places to invest, finding where you can put that time. So certainly Luke Combs goes on and have a bit of a sing-along at home, a bit of Morgan Wallen. And, but that's probably been the thing I've enjoyed the most is having time to myself again. Mm-hmm. Again, because it gives me the opportunity to focus that energy into places where I get something back, into my work, into my football team, into, the parts of my life that when you are married and have kids and are living a grown-up life, you don't get to do that. So for me, I have, every second week where it's just me looking after me.
Oh, that's good.
When I've got Elliot, obviously it's, everything goes towards her, and, sort of maximising my time with her, doing everything I can with her while I've got her.
Yeah.
And then, she goes to mum for a week, and it's just, 100%, like I said, fill my own cup. So, a good opportunity, like I said, for me to sort of learn to be selfish again. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. So I'd say that's probably my number one thing I've enjoyed is time to myself and just looking out for me.
Great. What is your definition of cheating?
This is another thing that Esther Perel talks about. So again, cheating throughout time has changed. Affairs throughout time have changed. And if anyone is interested in the topic, Esther Perel's about the best one to talk about it. She's spent a lot of time looking into it. Spent decades of clinical study on affairs and on cheating. And I think she has there's only 3 or 4 rules, but the first one is that it has to be based around a lie. So if you're telling lies to cover it, that's number one. So if you're lying about it or it's a secret, then that's sort of rule number one. Rule number 2 is what she calls there's another word for it, but like sexual tension. So the way she explains it is the kiss you imagine having can mean more than hours of actual lovemaking. So if you've got someone that is in your life that you're thinking there's a sexual tension between the two of you, whether that's messages that are getting sent, pictures getting sent, if it's going off and getting a massage with a happy ending or whatever it is, if there's a sexual element to it, then whether you're actually acting on it or not is irrelevant. And it's for me certainly it was more about time and effort spent on a relationship. That's sort of what hurt me the most. But certainly those couple rules. Again, Esther's got more, but the basic psychological sort of clinical perspective is if it's based around a lie,
and a secret.
A secret, and then if there's some sexual tension or a sexual alchemy is the word she uses.
There we go.
Yeah, and there's more, but
that's
I tend
important.
to agree with her because I don't think it's necessarily about the act of cheating. It's more about the the intention or
Yeah, I agree with that. I like how you broke that down with the secrecy and the lie is the first thing. If they're having to hide something from you, and if you are in a monogamous relationship, and that's the contract in inverted commas that the two of you are in. Obviously, there are so many different types of relationships these days, but that's all about communication and being clear, being on the same page. But yeah, I think that was really good how you explained that. Before I love and leave you, Jacob, what are your parting words of wisdom?
Again, probably something that, it's something I've heard, Esther Perel say, is that I think for me, there's another guy, Lewis Howes, who has a podcast, whatever, and his big thing, he's got sort of three questions that he asks every guest, and one of them is, if the world was ending tomorrow and everything you'd ever done was to disappear, so you've got no impact on life and you're left with, three things, what do you want them to be? And for me, I suppose the things that resonate with me is that you've got a story to tell. So I've always seen myself as a storyteller and certainly been drawn towards people who tell stories.
Sure.
Because, if you sort of look back through time, that's how things get passed down. That's what movies are, that's what songs are, that's what art is, that's, the things that last, that's what they are. They're just stories that have been passed from one person to another. Certainly, have a story to tell is probably mine. Whether you know how to tell it or not is not important. Leave an impression. So I think Esther says, be someone that when people think about you, they smile, which for me is sort of all that life comes down to, is to, you want to be a person that is remembered fondly and remembered for stories they tell or things they share with you. So I think that's sort of how we connect as humans is, to just tell your story and be heard. And all you do is you find the people that your stories match up, that, you like parts of them, they like parts of you. And at the end of the day, that's all you've sort of got is, my grandpa put it as, live your life as if someone will write a book about it and then maybe one day they will. So I've always liked that. So
that's beautiful.
Leave a story and leave an impression.
The Catchalorette, with friends near and far, from heartache to catfish and sex toys. The Catchalorette and friends. See you next time, if you dare.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.